Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Hi everyone, hope all is well. Now we will be talking about a win here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Champions League. Welcome to the Spurs Chat Podcast. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Borussia Dortmund 0. What a night. What a night. Chalk and cheese performance from the West Ham defeat on Saturday to tonight. Great attacking intent and fair play to Thomas Frank. He got everything absolutely spot on this evening. Spurs are up to 4th in the Champions League table, behind Arsenal, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. PSG are now below Spurs in 5th. Sporting are 6th. Manchester City are 7th. Now, what a night it was here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Full of smiles. Thomas Frank was absolutely relieved. Christian Romero putting Spurs 1-0 up after 14 minutes. Svensson being sent off, showed a red card after 26 minutes. And Solanke, what a great performance from him as well this evening, put Spurs 2-0 up after 37 minutes. And Wilson Odobert with both assists this evening. Now, Tottenham Hotspur had 53.5% of the ball. Dortmund had 46.5%. XG, Spurs 2.23. Dortmund 0.38. Shots, Spurs had 16. Dortmund had 6. Shots on target, Spurs had 5. Dortmund had 1. Now, total touches inside the opposition box. Spurs had a staggering 43 to Dortmund's only 9. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 1, and that was right at the end of the game. Dortmund 3, aerial duels 1, Spurs 11, Dortmund 9, fouls committed, Spurs 14, Dortmund 12, and corners, Spurs 4, Dortmund 2. Now, as per usual, we have got 3 returning guests, 3 channel regulars. Craig Dearman is with us. Craig, are you smiling?
That wasn't bad, was it? It wasn't bad at all. Good to be on here discussing a win, actually, for once. It seems like a long, long time. Probably isn't as long as I think it is, but perhaps it is. But yeah, no, really good performance tonight.
Also back with us is Ricky Norwood. Rick, how are you?
Oh my goody gumdrops. What a break can do, innit? What a break can do. I've been off for a week. I've missed 2 dreadful games where I've been tearing my hair out. I've been going absolutely mental. And tonight we get a win in the Champions League. You know, it's obvious, boys. It's obvious. It's obvious what's going to happen. We're going to win the Champions League and we're going to finish 17th. That's what's going to happen. And we're going to have another parade, aren't we? I mean, no, listen. It's just good to win. It's good to come on and just chat about a win. Yes, we've got problems. It doesn't mean the problems have gone away, but my goodness, what a good win that was, with a good performance under some crazy kind of pressure and injuries and everything else. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was dreading it right up until they blew the whistle and started the game tonight. But my goodness, a win's a win. Well done, Tottenham. Well done.
Also back with us is Kate Boxell. Kate, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I think, do you know what? This might actually be the first time I've come on your show after a win. I was starting to think I was the kiss of death. I'm not going to lie, but it does feel so good. It feels like so long since I've felt so happy after a match. It's been so bad. I was dreading it. I actually predicted a 5-1 loss today. So I'm in the mud and I'm happily swimming in it. I'm just going to put it out there. Great to be back. And looking forward to the show.
Craig, let's come to you first of all. Let's start the show with you. What did you make of today's performance? Because like I said in the intro, it was like a chalk and cheese performance from that defeat against West Ham. Not a lot of people expected Spurs to win this game. A lot of people were dreading it. Thomas Frank got everything right this evening.
Yeah, it was almost by default in a way, because we were down to the bare bones, so down to the bare bones. I didn't see the Spence switch come in to push further up the pitch. I thought that was actually really good to see him further up the pitch there. You'd think he would be on the right rather than the left, actually, but it did work really, really well. And Spurs were at it from the off. Amazing first half. Second half, you could say Dortmund came back into it. Spurs tailed off a bit, perhaps just sitting back a bit more. But that first half performance won it for us, didn't it? It was just good from minute one. It was aggressive. We went straight at them. Didn't really give them a chance to breathe. Deservedly went ahead. Definitely the red card helped 100%, but we was well on top anyway before then. And then just took full advantage. Solanke's goal, I don't think he'll ever score another one like that in his life. I'm not quite sure how he managed to do that. He probably didn't know himself how he did that. But look, we'll take it. Winning the Champions League, definitely through to the next round. Whether that's top 8 remains to be seen. Win next week, and it will be. So yeah, Champions League. Just let's forget the Premier League even exists. Let's just think about the Champions League, because. You know, it's if we win that, I'm not saying we're going to win it, by the way, but yeah, really good performance tonight. If you taking tonight in isolation, really pleased to finally get a win and another win at home, or not avoiding a loss, which however many games that is, ridiculous record we've got in European football. So yeah, unbelievable tonight, really good, thoroughly deserved as well.
Spurs are the only team this season to have won all 4 home games without conceding a goal in the Champions League at home. And as you mentioned there, Craig, 24 games unbeaten now in Europe, going back to 2020 when we last lost here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against RB Leipzig. Ricky, actually, let me stay with you a minute, Craig. You can get excited, you can get carried away and think that we're going to win the Champions League because, of course, it was so poor in the Premier League last year under Ange, but we went all the way in the Europa League. Could we do it again this time? Oh,
wouldn't that be mental? And that mob up the road thinking that they're sitting up there. How funny would it be? Finish 17th again and then win the Champions League, stand in a plant pot again in May. My God, that would be just such a Tottenham thing to do. But yeah, you got a dream, and you got a dream.
Ricky, you'll laugh. I was actually showing people that plant pot earlier before the game. So that's where we were. That's the famous spot.
I do it every time I walk past it, bro. I do it every single time I walk past it. It draws my eye as well. Like, I can't help but just live in that little time bubble. I mean, could we what? Look, Tottenham's a madhouse, isn't it? Tottenham's a crazy place to be on the best of days. And who knows, man? Look, all I know tonight is that the boys showed their class, they showed their character, they showed their fight, they showed some grit. They went out and played football, like actual football, where they pass it to each other and they move and they create attacks, and they were overloading and they were overlapping. There was some through balls through the middle. They actually decided to play some football. I mean, Solanke up front made a massive difference, just his movement and him being a nuisance, but just timing of runs, and there was a lot going on tonight, and they showed up. And like Craig said, yes, the red card helped, but it was all about our performance. It was all about our performance. We went out there to win tonight. We went out there to play football, and we went out there to score goals and make it happen. And one of the things that I am happy with tonight as well is that we built on the advantage that we had. Not only did we score the first goal, not only did they go down to 10 men, but we went and got the second before that first half was out. So there was plenty of good things today. A bit like Craig, second half, look, Dortmund are a strong side. They're a strong side. I've always been an admirer of Adeyemi, and there were many times that he ran through the middle, and if it wasn't for the organization and the concentration of not only our captain, but Danzo back there and your doggy doing a great job, it could have been different. But we manifested our own energy, we manifested our own motivation and momentum, and we continued it all the way up into that second half. The second half, look, Dortmund are going to come back. They blocked it up. They shored it up because Odegaard and Porro who were on fire on the right-hand side. You know, Xavi pulling the strings all day long, but, you know, they had to shore it up. And then at the same time, we shored it up as well, even though we had a man extra. And I can kind of understand where Frank is with all the circumstances, but where Frank is right now for him to make sure that we got that win fundamentally. Absolutely phenomenal performance from Romero as well that he's showing on the screen right now. True captain's performance. He stood up. He wanted to make it happen from top to bottom. He was everywhere. There was so many good, bright performances tonight. The young midfield in there, Bergvall was dynamite up until he came off. You know, so we'll wait to hear what happens with him. But like super duper happy with tonight's performance, mate.
I've got to say, if you are watching on X or Facebook or even YouTube right now, the scenes are absolutely fantastic, and we haven't seen this for some time. The players really happy. Thomas Frank and all of the coaching staff looking absolutely delighted and relieved at winning. And I will also say as well that the crowd tonight at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium from minute one, as Thomas Frank wanted, were absolutely outstanding. And yeah, a happy place this is right now, and it is great scenes because we haven't seen this type of happiness for some time here at Tottenham. Kate, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on tonight's win.
Look, I think that it was a brilliant win. Amazing how we can look so bad against West Ham and then come out and play like that in the Champions League. It's crazy. This is why Tottenham is such a mad club to support, because you literally never know what you're going to get. I thought Xavi was absolutely brilliant today. I thought Jed Spence on the left wing was brilliant. Porro was good today. Danso again was excellent. Udogie, I thought, was solid as a rock today. Really good. I agree with what Ricky said. I thought Romero, proper captain's performance, no bozo moments, very impressive. And Solanke as a focal point, really good. You know, we've all got our feelings about Frank. We all know that there's something not right at this club and that he's probably not the man. But I think tonight it was just about enjoying this moment, because it's been a real turgid few weeks for Tottenham fans. And it was just such a good performance. I was a little bit disappointed with the way we came out in the second half, because we kind of backed off a bit. But at the same time, they did work their socks off in the first half. Fatigue was probably setting in, and we didn't really have much of a bench to be able to swap out players if there was any more injuries or tiredness. So I kind of understand that. But yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon. Like I said, I did not see this coming at all. I'm not even going to entertain the idea of winning the Champions League, but I'll let Ricky and Jimbo ride that wave for as long as they want to. But I'm just delighted that we managed to get a win tonight, and actually kind of looking forward, not particularly to Burnley, but I'm looking forward to the Champions League game next week. And I'm still in shock that we're sitting in fourth place in the Champions League table. It's kind of unbelievable when you look at where we are in the Premier League and the form. I mean, we, like you say, we've won all 4 of our home games in the Champions League, which is twice as many home games as we've won in the 11 Premier League games this season. It's bipolar. Tottenham are just a mad team. It's no wonder all Tottenham fans are a little bit unhinged. It's just it's what this club does to us. We're all a bit crazy.
You talk for yourself.
But you know what? Like, these two gentlemen up here, Chris and Craig, right? I've been off for a week, Kate. Yeah, I've been off for a week because I needed the breather, right? I needed it. Look, like I'm getting greyer by the day, girl. Do you know what I mean, sweetheart? Like, babes, do you know what I mean? Right? But I've seen these two gentlemen's face just drop.
I know.
Each day, like Monday, like Tuesday, like it's like these guys. Every sentence, the both of these guys, doesn't matter what they're reporting about. It starts with. Right, so well then, and do you know what I mean? With that long breath. So you know what, gents? Enjoy tonight. Chris, how did it feel for you to be in the stadium with the energy, with the win, with the coming together, with all of that? How was it in the stadium for you? What was the crowd feeling like? Give us an insight into what the atmosphere was like.
I'll be honest, Ricky, when I turned up and everyone you spoke to expected us to lose tonight. and have a really, really tough night because, fair play to Spurs tonight. We've beaten a side that have only lost once in the Bundesliga all season, sitting second behind Bayern Munich right now in the German league. So, fair play to Spurs. I feel like I said, Thomas Frank got it right. The fans were absolutely outstanding from minute one, really, really supported the team. And when we saw the creativity, and I think that Spurs started the game really well, and I think that the more that we were on the attack and the more that we were playing well, the crowd were just up for it more and more and more. And I think when we scored that first goal, there was a real air of confidence around the stadium that we were going to go on to win this game. And then, of course, the red card, we then got the second goal. And I'll be honest, Ricky, the only negative I could probably find is that it was only 2-0. It should have been a lot more. We created a lot tonight, and I think that this was one of Tottenham's best performances so far this season. And I also feel that Thomas Frank worried about Tottenham tonight. He only worried about Tottenham and not the opposition. The amount of pressure that guy's under right now, he went for it. We've been talking recently about daring and doing. I felt like we dared tonight, and we did tonight. And I know it's a bit of a pun and a cliche, but we did get the job done. And I just think that now you've got to take the positives from this evening into that game against Burnley, because that is a crucial game in the Premier League, because we know during Feb we have got some very, very tough games coming up. Man City, Man United, Newcastle, Arsenal, and 3 of those 4 games are at home, where we've really, really struggled at home. But what a chalk and cheese performance, like I've said, from Saturday to today. Very, very different. But the mood, do you know what? There's nothing more that I love to see happy, smiling faces all around me, particularly when the players are coming off the pitch, and I'm getting goosebumps saying this. The players coming off the pitch, high-fiving, giving their shirts away, cuddling one another, smiling. Thomas Frank looking absolutely relieved, walking down the tunnel, high-fiving fans. This is what we want to see as Spurs fans. We want to see smiles. We want to see people shouting stuff of positivity, not boos. All we're hearing is applause. And I tell you what, it's been a really, really good night. I don't want to put a dampener on this, but I've got to ask all 3 of you, do you feel differently about the Thomas Frank situation after tonight? Can we play like this on a regular basis? Can this be a turning point in Tottenham's season and with Thomas Frank? Because I feel like I've asked Craig this question every single day this week. Do you think there's any possibility in a couple of months' time we'll look back at this period and say, actually, we all got it wrong? Because I said earlier today, even on a press interview, that I don't know anyone who wants Thomas Frank in. Everyone seems to want him out. But when you see this performance tonight, does it change any of your minds? Because I know all of you said exactly the same thing. Craig, let's start with you on that.
Do you know, it's really difficult to talk about that tonight, because, like you say, you don't want to put a downer on anything, but
we have to talk about that. We have to.
Look, for me, you've got to. I mean, it's ecstatic to see that performance tonight. It's so good to see your team win, and knowing we can put in that performance. As I say, it was almost like the players went out and said, "Oh, sod it, let's just go for it." And that's what you get when you do that with a depleted team. I didn't give as much of a hope tonight, but we did it. We did it, and they did it so well. Second half, obviously, we could talk about that all day, but that first half won us the match, and that was it. We didn't really need to go for any more goals. I think we did actually sit back a bit in that second half, and Dortmund definitely improved. But the first half performance was probably one of the best halves of football I've seen all season. Having said that, it hasn't changed my mind, because you have to look, if you're looking at the whole thing as a whole, the last 7 months, you've got to look at that. And if you're saying, can you ignore tonight when you're talking about it? I think you probably can justify saying it's just not been good enough as a whole. It hasn't changed my opinion on Thomas Frank. I still don't think he is the man to take us forward, but I don't want to be too downbeat tonight, because we've just won and we've beaten a big European team. I don't think it's necessarily going to save him unless we somehow win the next 6-7 games. I personally can't see it. I'd love to see it. I hate being negative about anything, but if you've asked me if I'm still that Frank needs to go, I would say yes. But it was a great performance tonight, and I think that's all I can really say on it.
Ricky, where do you stand?
For me, bro, I've been over Frank for a little while, and I've tried to look at it with different eyes. Okay, yeah, I hear the dilemma that Craig's in, because you look at tonight and there's a great performance, but we've seen flashes of great performances. We've seen Copenhagen, we've seen like the first game against Brentford. That was a team performance in the Premier League. There's been very few highlights, but tonight. You look at that, and we've been saying for the whole season, right? We've been saying for 6 months that you can get a better tune, you can get a better performance out of these boys. One of my biggest compliments that I gave tonight was they played football. They looked to play football. Chris, they haven't looked to play football in the last 6 months. They haven't. Do you know what I mean? They've played horseshoe football, back to Vicario. They've played long ball. I've described it as relegation style football. And look at the position that we're in the Premier League. Look who we're losing to on the weekend. Look at, Burnley on the coming up is now a 6-pointer before we get dragged into something that we don't and shouldn't and never have been dragged into, because he's basically had that strong back five. Basically, he's had it. Not your doggy. But he's had majority. He's had the majority than what a lot of people else have had, So we've been waiting for it to click all season. We've seen a couple against not as strong sides, but tonight it was against a strong German Champions League side. There was a performance from everyone. There was, like I said, the energy, the grit. That, like you said, Chris, there was the daring, there was the doing. They went to play football. So if they can continue to play football, then I'll be a happier guy. Do I think he's the guy to take us forward? There's still too much in the bank that says no. There's still like 17 games where our XG was 0.02. Now tonight it was 2 point something. Fantastic. But there's too many of those for me. And if this is the turnaround, fantastic. Let's see what happens, because if this is the turnaround and Tottenham are winning, I'm happy. I'm a happy guy because I love Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? Mate, it's not about Frank. For me, it's about Tottenham always. So if Tottenham are winning, I'm a happy guy. Fantastic. If they can continue it, if they can build on it. But I've said that 27 times this season. Can we build on it? Can we take it forward? Can we learn the lessons from last week? Do you know what I mean? So I need to see more, way more. I mean, for him to keep his job, he would have to win the Champions League for me to consider it, regardless of what happens in the Premier League right now. So
I think Ricky as well. And like we've seen this so many times with Spurs, brilliant performance tonight, and then you go and draw with Burnley or lose to Burnley. So you're right, it's got to be something that continues. If it can be a springboard, great, but let's celebrate tonight and just go with the win, because it's all about Spurs. It's not about Thomas Frank. It's about Tottenham. Fair play to Thomas Frank. He did get things right tonight. As I say, I think he was forced into a lot of those things, but the Jed Spence move I thought worked really well. So fair play to him for doing that. But it hasn't changed my opinion. Same as you, Vic.
Kate, before we come to you, just to let you all know that we'll be guaranteed a top 8 Champions League finish if we do win away in Germany against Frankfurt next week. Frankfurt are currently 33rd out of 36 teams in the Champions League table, and they sacked their manager on Sunday, and they have won just one in their last 9 matches in all competitions. So Ricky and I will
you never guess what game I'm going to.
Yeah, Ricky and I will be heading out to Germany next week. So yeah, what a game to go to. Kate, let's get your thoughts on the Thomas Frank situation before we get into the game.
First of all, when you give me stats like that, Chris, the first thing that comes to my mind is Dr. Tottenham when you start telling me all these things. So I'm going to put that out of my head. It hasn't changed my mind on Thomas Frank at all. I think he's a lovely human being. I was fearful for him tonight. I thought it was going to be like a public execution, to be fair. But I thought the crowd and the fans were excellent. But they did have a lot to cheer about. I agree with what Craig said without taking anything away from Frank. I think he was kind of forced into, like, he didn't really have decisions to make. He only had a handful of players to pick from. I just don't think he's got the minerals to be the Spurs manager. I'm not sure he is motivational for the players. I think he's a little bit of a coward. I think a lot of the time he worries, like you said, Chris, he worries too much about the opposition rather than just going out and say, this is how we're going to play, and, you know, stuff who we're playing. You know, if that was Poch back in the day, we would have come out in the second half exactly the same as the first. You just keep going, you keep trying to score. And I just don't, unless something miraculous happens and we walk away at the end of February unbeaten or something, I just, for me, my mind's not going to change. I think we've seen enough. You know, 30, 45 minutes doesn't change what we've seen for the last 6 months. So, yeah, I'm still Frank out, but I do like him very much.
Craig, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11 today. Vicario, Danso, Javi, Udogi, Gray, Bergvall, Romero as captain, Solanke, Pedro Porro, Spence and Odegaard. And then the subs today, a lot of youth team players on the sub bench. Kinski, Austin, Mawani, Scarlett, Olasesi, Thompson, Hardy, Byfield, Williams, Barnett, Camrich and Rosewell. What did you make of the starting 11? Because there wasn't a great deal that Thomas Frank could do.
No, I suppose the only choice was whether he played Callum Moani or, I suppose, Solanke. And he got that right. Callum Moani, very disappointed with him when he came on in the second half, by the way. It's probably a good choice to play Solanke. I've been very disappointed with him all season, to be fair. But yeah, the team did more or less pick itself, didn't it? And how good for the youth lads to be on the bench, no matter in what circumstances, just to experience that. And of course, we had a debut tonight, so that was brilliant. He gets his legacy number, so that's really good to see. But yeah, as far as the lineup and team goes, really, it kind of picked itself, didn't it? But sometimes, you know, and it showed tonight when you're down to the bare bones. I think we've all played in football matches where we've done that, even on a park football, and you don't think you got a chance, and then suddenly you pull something out of the bag. So those players did it tonight and did it well.
I've never played football in my life. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, right. I thought you might have.
If I'm running, it means I'm being chased by someone, so you should run as well. It's as easy as that.
Ricky, let's come to you. Let's get into the game itself, because after 6 minutes, a good cross in from Odegaard, which was cleared. A couple of minutes later, Pedro Porro put another cross in, that was cleared. There's been a huge emphasis on Spurs attacking down the right this season, particularly when we've had Mohamed Kudus there and Pedro Porro put in a number of crosses. But after 13 minutes, Spurs went 1-0 up. Of course, Odegaard mishit the shot. Then he crosses in. Romero, 1-0. What did you make of the goal?
Fantastic goal. And it was well within our momentum, and it was well within our energy. We was pushing for that. We had a couple of sniffs just before this opportunity came up, but fantastic play. I think it was Danso that picked up the ball to begin with and start the move. Gets it over to Porro. Porro and Odegaard, they, you know, like you said there, they interchange. Misses, comes back to him, crosses. And Romero, the way that he wasn't letting anybody. Look at him. It's like he's the Hulk sometimes. He just holds off players, you know. But nobody could get near him, and he leans back and gets it in, like swivels his foot to tap it back into the goal. Fantastic way to start the game, and it's exactly what we needed after a crazy, you know, just a crazy period in Tottenham history, you know. So that start the match. To just give us that little push, and you saw the boys grow in confidence.
Kate, let's come to you. Let's talk about that first goal. Romero, great finish from him. That meant a lot to him. You could tell, cupping his ear as he walked back or ran back to his half, waving up to. It looked like board members, but it might be family. I don't know. But you know, real leadership qualities from Romero this evening.
Yeah, I'm one of I've been critical of Romero this season when he's made like bozo mistakes, if you like. And then, of course, we had him coming out and saying exactly what us fans feel like. Although I don't particularly think it's the right thing to do, to come out so publicly and disrespect the board. Although I agreed with everything he said, but yeah, sometimes I watch Romero and think this guy is just, on his day, can be an absolute phenomenon, and then other times he does stupid things. But tonight, you know, I thought he was excellent. I think we needed that. I think had we have gone 1-0 down, this whole game would have been completely different, because you would have seen the stadium get toxic, and that filters through to the players. So I think it was so important that we scored that first goal. And yeah, I'm delighted it was Romero. You know, I'm sure they said earlier, Romero and Van de Ven have got 11 goals this season. I mean, if you take them out of our team, we're a bit of a shambles when it comes to scoring goals. They're both becoming really good goal scorers, you know, and Romero looks so confident in front of goal. So absolutely delighted for him. And I don't know who he was doing that to. I don't particularly like all this us against the fans. So I'm hoping it was nothing to do with the fans, that it was just to maybe it was to the board. I don't know. But yeah, over the moon. And like I say, it came just at a perfect time, because you heard the stadium go mad, but it also felt like everyone in the stadium went, oh, as if thank God for that. At least we're winning. So, yeah, brilliant.
Do you know what? Ricky always asks me on every podcast about how it was in the stadium. And do you know what I really loved tonight? You heard that roar. The roar from the Tottenham crowd. And I tell you what, we haven't heard that. Well, I haven't heard that for a very, very long time. And it makes the hairs on your neck come up, and you just feel good. And we haven't felt like that. I tell you, it was a couple of special moments this evening. Ricky, I want to come back to you. Talk to me about Wilson Odobert today, because I felt like he had a really, really good performance on that right-hand side.
He grew. He went from strength to strength. I think, you know, every take on every dribble. But again, it wasn't one-dimensional. I think that a lot of the times this season, we've fired in balls from Vicario to Kudus or the right-hand side, and it's there, you know, he's surrounded by players. It's there for you to hold up, try and dribble past 3-4 players and try and get something going. Tonight, it wasn't that. Tonight, it was very give and go. Those rondos that we see them do each week in training, we saw that come into play today. And the passes that were not just coming off Odobert, but the team, they were confident. Like, they were, I don't know how else to describe it, but they were confident. Like when Xavi or Odobert passed the ball, they knew it was going where they wanted it to go. It had the right weight. When you had Porro running onto him, it worked tonight, and it clicked, and it was really good for Odobert, especially he's playing on the right side again. You know, he's probably going to be playing, be able to create that space to go up against a tough defense as well, but to have that fight about him, use his pace, use his dribble, like use everything in his locker to kind of make things happen. He was important. I think you said it was 2 assists tonight, so very important player tonight, and you know, really important 90 minutes for him. And this is what we want to see as Tottenham supporters, to see nights like that for a young player. See, start coming into your own, because once that starts to happen, you know, that's when you start to get on a roll. And if he can continue those, I mean, up against his former side on the weekend, so can he put in another stellar performance, and can he continue the link up that he started to form with Porro and with the central midfielders as well?
Now, Spence did extremely well on the 23rd minute, put a cross in, and 2 Spurs players seemed to get in each other's way, and we didn't get a shot in. A couple of minutes later, Dortmund received the red card. Craig, let's come to you on the red card. Initially, it was given as a yellow, and then it went to VAR, and then it turned into a red after review. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, they were saying on the commentary that this wouldn't be a red card in the Premier League. When you see a still freeze frame like that, it looks horrific, doesn't it? When you saw it in full motion or full speed, if you like, it didn't quite look as bad, but I can totally see why it was given. What he did do, the player that got sent off there, he actually could have put his leg down, and he kept it in the air. So you could easily see why that was given as a red, in my opinion. It was it was high. If that had been a bit harder, then Wilson Odobert would have been in trouble there, getting serious injury, I think. But when you see it like that, it always looks worse. some people said it was a harsh red. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I was quite surprised it was given as a red, to be honest with you. But when the referee goes over to the monitor, how many times they actually say, no, I don't agree with you, I'm going to go with the on-field decision. So it actually comes back to me with VAR seems to be re-refereeing the game. And sometimes you do need it where something's been missed and there's an error that's been made, quite a clear error. But something like that is always subjective. The referee saw it in full speed and gave the decision of a yellow. You could easily argue that he could have stuck with that, but I can see why they gave it as a red as well. It's one of those, Chris, I think, for me, that one.
Craig, let's stay with you because on 28 minutes, a wonderful cross in from Xavi Simons. Pedro Porro couldn't quite get there. On 36 minutes, a cross in from the right-hand side. Romero headed down. Jed Spence blasted over. And then on 37 minutes, Dominic Solanke made it 2-0. Talk us through this goal, Craig. I know you used to play as a striker. Did you ever score one like this? Was it off the left foot? Was it off the right foot?
Yeah, I scored many like this, not knowing what I was doing, probably, to be honest with you, and just luck. I mean, it was one of them, wasn't it? Look, it's a good build-up play by Tottenham again, good pressing. And when the ball came across, he actually got a little bit lucky, went through the defender's legs. Was it Schlotterbeck? It went through his legs. And I think Dominic Solanke was probably not expecting it. Whether it clipped his leg and went a little bit behind, but he was kind of ahead of the ball. So he tried to do... that I can't remember if he's got a name, but where he puts his leg behind and flick it, obviously messed that up completely, hits off his right foot onto his left foot, back onto his right foot, and didn't have a clue where the ball went, ended up trickling in and hitting the post and going in. So it was a bit of a comical goal, but hey, we'll take it. It was he could have just easily gone wide. He could have completely missed it, but the footballing gods was on Spurs side tonight, wasn't they? How many of them have kind of gone against us? So it was nice that we got one go away. Really pleased for Dominic Solanke, first goal after his return from injury. And I don't know if his missus is pregnant or something, doing the old celebration with the ball up the shirt there. So yeah, really pleased for Solanke.
Ricky, I'm going to ask you a very obvious question about Solanke. How important is it that we have him back? Because his pressing tonight, I thought, was excellent, and to have a proper goal scorer up there is very, very important for this team.
Oh, massively important. You've seen how much we've missed him. His movement, he had great movement tonight, and instinct. When certain crosses were going in, or there were certain things happening on the edge of the box, his mind was switched on to what was happening, and whether he was dragging a defender away or occupying a defender or creating space for somebody else or trying to get in a position to score for himself, he was doing that, especially in the first 45. And you can see how much we've missed that. It's so much so that when Colo came on a bit later, there wasn't so much of that going on. You could definitely notice the difference between them. But yeah, we've got to keep him fit now. We've got to look after him. We've got to kind of build up his strength in these games. And fingers crossed he's with us for the second half of the season, because we're going to need him. You can see how important he is.
Ricky, Xavi Simons had a shot over the bar on 39 minutes. Dominic Solanke shot the goalkeeper on 42 minutes. And then, of course, it was half-time 2-0. The players were applauded off. That was great scenes as well, because these last few games, particularly at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's either applause at half-time or it's boos at half-time. But let me go back a little bit to the 39th minute. Xavi Simons, another chance for him. What did you make of his performance this evening?
Phenomenal performance tonight. He really stood up and he really took the game by the scruff of the neck, and he was a creator tonight, and he was always open for the transition. He was always open for the ball. He was always open to try and make something happen. The amount of clip balls over the top, because he had runners. We decided to play football instead of just kind of try and get it out to the wing and cross it in. We actually, there was movement happening. People was running off the shoulders of the Dortmund defense. And so Xavi could play those balls. And get people involved in overlaps and in attacks. It was a fantastic performance. I don't know if he got man of the match, but him and Porro were absolutely on fire. You know, until Porro had to go into midfield a bit later. I know you'll get to that, but Xavi, man, I thought he was fantastic. And another day where half of his strip is covered in grass and mud. You know, so it wasn't just twinkle toes. He was getting stuck in and getting kicked up in the air himself many a time, but stood up and made it happen. The only thing that was missing tonight was that goal. He had a couple of shots, but it was just good to see him look like he was. He just went Champions League on the world stage at home in front of all the Tottenham fans. I'm going to show you what I'm about tonight. And, you know, I don't think that was 400% Xavi, but like we definitely got a good 90 out of him and it looked tremendous, bro. And we all need to see more of that. But I do think the football helped. The fact that we were playing football, Chris, I think helped the situation and made him look even better.
Absolutely. It was actually Pedro Porro that got the man of the match award.
Yeah,
but I think it's fair to say that you could choose a number of players this evening, and that's fantastic. Right, so half-time it was 2-0. The stadium is actually closing, so I'm going to leave you now with Craig to talk through the second half and then, of course, preview the Burnley game. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you again soon.
Take care, Craig. Craig's on mute.
That's a great way to start. Craig,
that's a great. There we go. Start again. Start again.
Craig, you got one job.
One job.
Thought you were going. Go home, you.
The segue was beautiful.
It was. It was seamless, and then the mic was not on. So I think I know what I was doing by now, haven't you? Jesus Christ! It's Spurs winning. You see, it just messes with your head, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, right. Covered second half. Anyway, Julian Ryerson for Dortmund, right-footed shot from outside the box, free kick. Actually, I said to my son actually that this is too close. He will never get this up and down. And the moment it left his foot, I thought, oh God, that looks good, but went wide. Thankfully, 54 minutes. Xavi Simons. Right-footed shot from outside the box, but was too high. I think he was played in by Jed Spence. 56 minutes. Kate, coming around to you, slight delay in the match while Lucas Bergvall received some treatment, and then obviously eventually had to go off. What did you make of the midfield pairing of Bergvall and Gray this evening?
I thought they did well. They're both quite creative. I think that's probably why we played the way we played. Unfortunate for Bergvall. I don't know how serious it was because he did seem to be walking off unaided, but you never know. I mean, I never know. I always think, oh, it's not that bad, and then I hear they're going to be out for 6 months, but hopefully it's not too serious. But he impressed me tonight, Bergvall, and Gray as well. I mean, little Gray who looks like my son, and then he's having a tear up with one of the Dortmund players. I was really shocked. I didn't think he had that in him. But look, all we can say is, look, we've got so many injury problems at the minute. Let's hope Bergvall's isn't too serious, because I thought he was really good tonight. And it's good to have him back and to have that choice. He's got a lot of energy, and to see him go off was actually quite sad. But he didn't
look in too much distress, did he? He didn't look in too much distress, so fingers crossed.
I heard him say at half-time that since Opta Records began 20 years ago, it's the first time that Dortmund have failed to have a shot on target in the first half in a Champions League game. So a lot of people are saying, you know, Spurs weren't that good, it's just Dortmund were that bad. But I don't agree with that. I think you've got to... Sometimes, yes, okay, they went down to 10 men, but we was in control of that game the whole time. And I think, you know, you've got to sometimes just say we were by far the better team. So, but yeah, hopefully Bergvall's is just a little knock and he'll be back for the weekend.
Yes, hope so. And of course, we got Gallagher back in the squad for the weekend and Van der Ven, so should be on a bit of better footing. This comment from Keith. Thanks, Keith. Craig sounds better on mute. Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. I'll be Ricky coming around to you. it's fair to say Dortmund did pose more of a threat in that second half. They had a shot blocked on 62 minutes, and another attempt a minute later, right-footed shot from outside the box, went high and wide. What do you think that was? Do you think it was the slight tweak in formation from Dortmund? Because obviously they tended, I think they were one up front, didn't they, and sort of like put five at the back on occasion, and then moved to sort of like 4 in midfield. So do you think that was more Spurs sitting back, or do you think that was Dortmund making that tactical switch that put us a bit more on the back foot?
Dortmund were always going to come out fighting, because the one thing that is pretty much known is that if you score against us, we're easily rattled, and we're easily rattled this season, right? So that Kovac would have said to them, you score one and then knees will start and you might be able to score another, you know? So he's probably pumped them up. Doesn't matter about 10 men, we'll sort it. They were getting destroyed down the right-hand side by Porro and Odebe on our right-hand side in that first half. And Dortmund didn't know what to do. The way that they were playing with 10 men in that first half, the way that they were playing was that they was always leaving big, massive gaps for either Odebe or for Spence on the left-hand side. And we were just destroying them with either a step over or a ball round the corner or a quick overlap to Porro, and then something else happened. So they had to shore it up. And so go into a back five for them was to stop that kind of to plug a hole in the leak that was happening in Dortmund's boat at that point. But they were always going to come out fighting, because they are a big side and they're in the Champions League and they've got big players that are on big wages, and their manager, like you said, has been on an unbeaten run for a while, you know. So they was always going to come out fighting. When it comes down to us, I always think like the first 10 minutes, 45 to 55, going into 60, there's always going to be a reaction, whether it's from us, you know, that has gone down maybe in the first half, or from them where we've gone ahead. So there's always going to be a bit of a reaction, or I assume, I like to see. There's been many a times that Tottenham have not come out and give me no reaction. But we're talking about Dortmund. When they came out, I was expecting to see a reaction. So that first of all, there was that reaction. And then secondly, they started to gain confidence that they could get something out of the game, or they could, because we were allowing them space and time. Now, from a Frank point of view, I think we went from a balanced attacking defensive display in the first half to a high press to an all-out defense. I think we then went into a back five and a block in the middle with just bodies. I can't say midfielders because, you know, Bergie came off and Gray was the only one left. But I think that we went into that, and then we started to counter them. We started to look for the break and try and use that extra man when we could. But because of their back five, I think that they could cover most of it. Now, we did have chances in that second half. We still could have scored another couple in that second half, you know, when we wanted to go forward and when we wanted to go and play football. But this is like, so I think it was to do with us, kind of, from a Frank point of view, going, you know what, we are 2-0 ahead. He wants to make sure he gets this game won, not only for the Champions League space, but for, you know, because of all of the toxicity that's been here, you know, for a long time, especially at home, or this crazy week that we've had. So I think in his head was to get this win was imperative for him, for the pressure in the stadium, for the fans, and for everything else, to try and give him, you know, at least some positive energy going into the next couple of days. So I think that was that was in his head. But the one thing that I would say, Craig, to as an example of showing how we went to almost all-out defence was, and I'm happy that Byfield got on tonight. I'm really happy that he got his legacy number, and I'm really happy that he made his debut in the Champions League as a 17-year-old who started his career as a 7-8-year-old.
Yeah, wow.
Well done to you. I applaud you. Well done, Sunshine. Well done. But for me, I would have liked to have seen Williams Barnett or come into midfield. I would have liked to have seen one of the young midfielders come in to replace Bergvall to continue playing football and leave Porro where he was. Now, if you want to take off Porro for Byfield a bit later on to give him a rest, then fine. But that would have been one of the changes selfishly. Now, again, I'm not criticizing because I understand why he done what he done. But selfishly, I would have liked one of the young midfielders that was on the bench, Seizi, someone like that, to maybe come on and just change it up and get somebody forward thinking. But he was thinking about consolidation and all out defense and making sure that we got those 3 points, that clean sheet and those 2 goals. And everybody on the pods around the world tonight, everybody watching around the world tonight is all smiling. And I think that was the most important thing tonight.
Yeah, I definitely think. Obviously, it was a defensive change, wasn't it? I suppose to go back to what you were saying, Rick, to put somebody in the centre of the park, such a young kid, when it was, they always say 2-0 is a bit of a funny scoreline. I would argue it's not as funny as 1-0, but I get the sentiment. They get 1 goal back and they get a bit of momentum. But yeah, so look, it was all about getting those 3 points today, wasn't it, for Thomas Frank and Spurs? Well, Dortmund continued to have shots and press in the second half. 62 minutes, they had a couple of chances, high and wide. And as you were saying, Rick, on 62 minutes, substitution for Tottenham, Junaid Byfield replaced Lucas Bergvall to earn his legacy number. Really pleased for him. And then Destiny Doggy wins a free kick on 64. A substitution then followed. Fabio Silva replaced Karim Adeyemi, and I was surprised by this substitution myself because I thought Adeyemi scares I'd love to see a foot race between him and Mickey van der Ven. I love watching players that are quick, and to see that race, mate, honestly, that would have been...
I'd love to see him in a Tottenham top. That's what I'd love.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Thing is, we did keep him quite to a degree. You could see the danger, though, but they were down to 10 men really when he started to come into the game. And although there was a chance in the first half when he was through, wasn't he? Sort of tripped over the ball almost. Yeah, he could have got through, but we managed to snuff that out. Where are we? Tottenham, another second substitution coming on to UK. Randall Cullen-Moani replaced Dominic Solanke. Obviously, Solanke only just coming back, so sensible change there. So Dominic Solanke doesn't get, we don't want him playing 90 minutes. What do you make, though, of Randall Cullen-Moani in today's match and overall as a Tottenham player? Because personally, I haven't really been that impressed with him.
Yeah, it was nice to see Solanke get a standing ovation when he went off, first of all. I really like Solanke. He comes in for a lot of criticism, but I like him. Moani's really disappointed me. I mean, when we saw him against PSG, I thought, this guy looks good. He's going to want to prove a point against PSG, and I think he played really well. But since then, he looks a bit lazy to me. I've got to be honest. I'm not convinced. I can't believe I'm going to say this, Ricky. You might want to clip this, but I would rather have Richarlison than Cullen-Moani because at least...
I agree.
Me too.
At least he works his socks off. Do you know what I mean? He works tirelessly for the team, whereas I don't really feel that Moani does that. So I'm hoping we don't sign him. I don't think we will.
Great example in the second half was there was a ball over the top, wasn't it? And he stopped running, but Spence kept going and he actually got it. What was that about?
Exactly.
That wound me up, that did. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not, apart from the fact that he doesn't score enough goals, I just am not convinced he works hard enough for me. I think we need better. I think we've got to get better. And like I say, as much as I've been critical of Richarlison all the time he's been here, I would take him all day long over Moani. And I think I would have kind of liked Scarlett to probably get on before Moani, just to see what he could do, because we've seen Moani for most of the season and everyone's been unconvinced. So it might have been worth sticking Scarlett on and just seeing what he could do. But yeah, I'm hoping we don't buy him.
I was kind of pleased actually that we didn't do that deal with there wasn't an obligation to buy, because at the time I remember when he came in, a lot of us were thinking, oh, it's a straight loan, we can't buy him, and I hadn't seen tons of Moani, but you look at highlight reels and he looked pretty good, and you think, we got a player here, and it just hasn't worked out for him, has it? So I expect him to go back at the end of the season and wherever he goes, but I just don't think it's ever going to work for him in the Premier League. Some players just aren't made for the Premier League, are they? 78 minutes attempted shot by Moani, actually. Didn't do brilliantly, should have done better in my opinion. Could have slotted it through the keeper's legs actually, but a great assist by Javi Simmons again. Attempt by Javi Simmons on 81, right-footed shot from the right side of the box, but just missed. Was assisted by Wilson Odebear, who, as we've commented on, I thought had a really good game tonight. Dortmund came forward 85 minutes towards the end of the game. Nico Schlotterbeck header from the centre of the box from the corner. Rick, just coming on to that last 5 minutes, were you sitting quite comfortably at that stage when Dortmund were pressing, had a couple of corners? Did you ever think Dortmund were going to get back into it? I was actually quite calm, bizarrely, considering, because, recent form and all that. You thought, oh, my God, here we go again. I didn't feel that tonight.
No, I'm with you. I was calm, but at the same time, in 85 minutes, there is part of the Tottenham heart in me, which is like, don't you do it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Do you know what I mean? So even like the header which Vicario tipped over, I was like, don't mess about. Don't listen. This is when I start talking. I stopped talking to the TV. I start talking to the wall. I'm like, please don't. Do you know what I mean? So there is that. There's always that, bro. So I was calm at points where I'm like, you know what? The one thing that I noticed in the second half, especially towards the end, but is that we did have spaces covered. Every time that they tried to attack a certain space, we did have it covered. So it was only going to be a free kick or a corner or something like that. It was only going to be one of those that is going to trouble us because it's so chaotic in the box, and we don't know which Vicario is going to be there. The one that holds it or the one that lets it go. So it was only going to be through that. So when Schlotterbeck had that header and Vic saved that, I was just like, okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Okay, all right. So that's where I was at. So I was still calm, but I was rubbing down the vein that was about to start popping in my forehead. I was. So
you were worried. You were worried, Rick.
Yeah. No, but I was calm worrying. I was worried but calm.
Right. Well, I understand.
Also with Colo as well, bro. There's been a couple of moments, right? So we've known with Colo pre-season injury, dead leg, the jaw, getting back up, yada yada yada. There's been a couple of times where we've really needed him, and especially I think it was this. I want to say it was a Sunderland game where Kudus came off that injury basically, and we really needed him to show up at that point, and he was very anonymous, and I was like, now come on now, like you've got there, you know your teammates now. There's times where, because I didn't know Colo as a player, I didn't know how to read his body language at times. At times it's looked like he didn't really want to be at Tottenham, and then at times I'm like, is that just how he is? Is he a little bit moody, or is he just a little bit in the middle until he finds his form, until he scores a goal or something like that? And then, like Kate said, we've seen PSG and not much else, So everything for a reason. Thank goodness we haven't got him on an obligation to buy. I think he should only be used now, if we're down to bare bones, on the wings. I think it's Scarlet time. I'm with Kate. It's Scarlet time. Give him the minutes, for goodness crackers. Like, let's see what he's got in his locker. Just having that youth thing, just having that thing about you that wants to play for Tottenham and wants to be in the first team. And it's not like we haven't seen Dane score goals for us. He might not be the next Harry Kane, but you never know what you're going to get. We still don't know. He's 21. He's big. He's strong. He's hungry. Like, start bringing him on. Let's start seeing what he's got in his locker.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need worry, Rick. We won 2-0. We saw the game out. And as we know, we're high up there on the Champions League table, which is great to see. However, at the weekend, we are back to Premier League action. It's Burnley next up in the Premier League. And let's show you the Premier League table. As if you didn't know.
Why? Craig.
Have to do it. I'm really sorry. So as you can see, Spurs are currently in 14th place and Burnley are in 19th place. So without further ado, Kate, come round to you on this. Great win tonight. We're not going to detract from that at all on this stream, but back to business in the Premier League on Saturday. You're only as good as your last game, as the old saying goes. Can Spurs get a result at Burnley? What do you want to see at Burnley? And give me a score prediction if you dare.
Oh, do you know what? It's such a difficult one to predict because I was going to say if we were at home, I'd be more confident, but I probably wouldn't be actually because we're rubbish at home. But Burnley, I always think are going to score at their place. But there will be some confidence flowing through the team after tonight. There's no doubt about that. Will Frank be in the dugout? I don't know. I heard a journalist yesterday say that he will be gone before this weekend. I don't see it, but I'm not a journalist and I haven't got a clue. Obviously, we're going to have the likes of Gallagher back in.
Kate, can I just come back to you on that? Because you make a valid point, and we weren't going to do Thomas Frank bashing too much tonight, but it's a genuine question. Does tonight's result change whether he should be in the dugout Saturday? Because I heard the same thing from me. I heard that and this is from one source, right, but that they didn't make the change because it was such a quick turnaround for tonight, and they were going to, regardless win, lose or draw, they've got plans, and make of this what you will. This is just one report, but they were going to make the change and he would be gone by the weekend. So does this change now, if that's true?
I mean, not for me. I said to Jim, I think win, lose or draw, he will be in the dugout on Saturday. I heard from someone today, all these people with different sources, it's probably a load of old codswallop, but I'll tell you what I was told. I was told today that there's some of the board want him to go, but Vinay is very keen on keeping him, which kind of makes sense because he was very keen on keeping Arteta when the fans were turning on Arteta and he wanted to stick with him. I personally think if we'd have won tonight 10-0 or if we'd have lost 10-0, the same decision would be made. And I just can't see them getting rid of him at the moment because I just don't know who they're going to bring in. I literally have no clue who they're going to bring in. But like I say, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up in the morning and it says that Thomas Frank's been sacked because, I said to Jim tonight, the players, are they playing with this freedom and excitement? A lot of people read into that and say the players are playing for Frank. It could be they know he's going and they're playing because the next manager is going to be coming in and they want to say, I should be being picked. You can look at things in so many different ways. None of us really know what's going on. So I just think I can see him being there Saturday. So that makes it difficult because we don't know for sure, but we've got the likes of Gallagher coming back in, should offer a bit more stability in midfield. I'm just hoping for us to go out there and play our way again and not be too worried about what Burnley are going to do. Just go out there, dare do, and all those cliches, and just try and play our way, score a few goals, and carry on this momentum. Because if there is any chance of Frank staying, which I personally don't think there is, but if, and the players are playing for him, then they have got to improve these Premier League performances because they're totally unacceptable. Score prediction wise, I'm going to be positive tonight because Ricky's here and otherwise he'll tell me off. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win. It won't be pretty. It won't necessarily be comfortable, but I am going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win.
Love that. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing myself, Kate. I think it's going to be a tough place to go. We haven't done brilliantly up there. I know we had that big win first. Was it the first season under Ange? Was it 5-2? Solomon Was that the
Yeah.
Solomon?
Oh,
He
wow.
played really well. I think possibly I might be making it up, but I vaguely remember it was Burnley. Might be wrong, but yeah, I think we should be looking, with all great respect to Burnley, should be looking to beat in Burnley Saturday, and let's hope we can, because Premier League's a bread and butter, and we got to get back to winning ways in the Premier Leagues. Rick, what's your thoughts on Saturday's game, and do you think Thomas Frank's still going to be on the bench on Saturday?
For me, for the game, I think one important point is Udogie being back. I mean, you saw it tonight. Udogie gave us so much balance, being able to be just a left back or a left winger. Do you know what I mean? Like, just his presence, he just gave the side so much balance. So I think that him being back as a left footer, I think if he can get through, and he done 90 minutes tonight as well. So if he can recover well, I think starting him on the weekend will be a plus. It will be a bonus for us. And like Kate was saying, we're going to have a few coming back as well. And they should be buoyant and they should be feeling really good tonight because they played well. They played football tonight. So let's hope and pray that they take that in and they nurture and they kind of just keep that fire burning all the way up into the game against Burnley. But like you say, Burnley, tough place to go. I hate saying that, but the reality is that this season we haven't been able to beat those that are above us, and we haven't been able to beat those that are below us. So you've got to turn up. You can't just expect anything. It doesn't matter who you think they are or what reputation or how many games they haven't won for. Because playing Tottenham is a different story. So it's about us. It's about us. It's always about us. Can you feel that growth within you tonight? Can you take it forward? Can the boys that missed out tonight bring some energy and enthusiasm into training going into tomorrow? Can they learn to love a win and kind of go and get another one on the bounce? Because I can't remember the last time we had a couple on the bounce wins. I can't remember the last time we had a couple on the bounce. So can we do these things? And I'm in a positive mindset tonight, and I'm happy, So, of course, I never, even in the worst times, I've never said that they're ever going to lose. And Tottenham is that type of team. Exactly when you think that they're going to lose, that's when they pull out a win, So, I want to say fingers crossed, and I want to say that they take this momentum into the weekend. And I will say a 3-1 win. On Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank's a data manager, right? What does the data say about Thomas Frank's reign?
Not very good, I would say, but yeah.
So that's where I'll kind of. It's up to him to shift it. It's up to him to change it. Will he get an opportunity? I'm not sure, but right up until now, bro, there's been so many I've had enoughs, Craig. The Chelsea Gooners had enough. Newcastle, the cup game. Had enough, bro. There were moments of good play in that, but it was very empty. Do you know what I mean? It was a very empty performance. But adding up the Aston Villa game the other week, that cup game, had enough, bro. It was the approach of the game. It was the way that we went into that. And as you and Chris have said, 180 times this week, we were playing not to lose. We didn't go out there to win. The biggest difference about tonight is that we went out to win. Against a big, massive side. We didn't shirk. We didn't fear him. We didn't go, oh my God, you've got Adeyemi. You're going to destroy it. We didn't do none of that. We stood up and we said, yeah, coming in. I don't care who's playing. Coming in. I'm wearing a cockerel on my chest, bro. Look, coming in. Let's go. That's why you saw Archie Gray. I'm glad I saw Archie Gray pick him up. I'm like, let's go. I need to see that. So it's about them, bro. And I think that right now, whatever happens tomorrow or weekend or with Thomas Frank, it's the bed that he's already made. 6 months in a pre-season, bro, we've got to see something. You can't get to the eve of your sacking and then show me that you can play football. It's you know what I mean? And everything changed. So I think for me, it's going to take a lot more, for my opinion, to change on Frank. Whether it happens or not, it's up to let's see what happens. But, don't take anything away from the boys and tonight's performance. Tremendous. I think that whatever happens, those boys and the character and the same fire in their chest should be there going into the weekend, regardless whether it's Thomas Frank or Heitinger or another manager that is on the lists. Whatever happens, go out there with the same to there is to do and go and make it happen, because we still need to turn this around, whoever's in charge.
Absolutely.
It'd be nice as well, instead of talking about Thomas Frank, if we was actually talking about some brand new players that we've signed in this window.
I think that's going to speak volumes, isn't it? And see if they are backing him, or they're going to. It might give you an indication this transfer window now what their thoughts are on Thomas Frank, because it has slowed up a little bit, hasn't it? I mean, it's only Sousa that will be announced soon, I'd imagine, but yeah, it's probably going to tell you a big story. It's funny you say that, Rick. Just before we end, Burnley haven't won in 14 games in the league, and their last win in the Premier League was the 26th of October. So
here we go.
Look, we'll end on that. We'll end on that because look, we got to be beating Burnley. With respect to any Burnley fans that are watching, thank you both for joining us tonight. Kate, as I say, thank you very much. Where can people find you?
You can find Jimbo and I at Kate and Jimbo. It's pretty straightforward, really. We do lunchtime shows every day. We're back tomorrow, looking over the match, player ratings, and things like that. We've got Ricky. He's promised me he's going to come on the show soon.
I will. So I will come on the show soon. I'm back now. I'm off break, Kate.
So we can have a battle to see who's the most deluded Spurs fan, Ricky or Jimbo. But yeah, come on over to Kate and Jimbo. It's never too heavy. We always try and laugh, because you know what? If you don't laugh, you cry. It's as easy as that. So
you certainly do.
Thanks for having me on again. Great, obviously, to share the screen with you both. Ricky is a legend, and you, Craig, are wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kate. What a lovely way to end the show. And Ricky, thanks a lot. Lovely for you to have a break. I'm having the Burnley game off myself, so I don't know if you're doing Burnley, but hopefully you'll be all smiles again. Where can people find you?
You guys know where you can find me. You know where you can find me by now. On X at Ricky J Norwood. That's mostly Tottenham stuff. And then on Instagram, official Ricky Norwood. That's where you can catch up with what I'm doing work-wise and where I'm appearing and all of that jazz. So you can check that out. And then Talk and Tottenham as well. I think me and my brother Hartman set up, and it's just us. It's like we're in the pub having a drink, going over all of this palaver. Like you say, very lighthearted, but it can get in at times. I do lose it. I've lost it a couple of times already. I had to pull the brandy out in the last episode. So episode 8 is out right now. Check it out. But yeah, bro, I'll be back on with you beautiful people on the weekend, and I can't wait to go away now. I'm going away to Hoffenheim with Chris to watch the game, and I can't wait now. So I'm actually buzzing. We've got some positive vibes going into it, so I cannot wait. And I'm sure I'll be drunkenly reporting something with you beautiful people along the way too. I'm
not gonna get a video at 1 a.m. of you trying to get back into the hotel again.
Yes, mate. That's exactly what's happening, Sunshine.
That did wake me up. But it was worth it. It was worth it. It was well worth it. Anyway, look, I don't even need to say it tonight. The old don't have nightmares, do sleep well. We won a game, so let's celebrate that, and hopefully we can continue that winning streak into the Premier League on Saturday against Burnley. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Come on.